Two reasons why we're going to beat revenue, right? I think we will. Partly because of these two reasons. Number one reason is that the Saphyr's installations and the business model of Bionano's, it essentially guarantees, I'm just going to say it because it does, there's like a 99.99% chance that that is true every single quarter for the rest of eternity, right? That Bionano's consumable revenue will go up every single quarter, right? That's because the installations are going up, and we're going to go more into detail in that. But that's, okay, consumable revenue essentially guaranteed to increase every single quarter. Second reason is because the rental agreements, the proportion to actual capital purchases, Kevin calls it here, capital purchases, actual sales of the, Saphyr device, $150,000, $200,000, the proportion of that to the actual rental agreements, which is what we've been getting a lot, like for quarter one 2021, that was a majority of the 11 placements, right? That is the second reason, because this quarter we already know there are already a couple capital purchases that we already know about before the earnings. And last quarter, just to put this into perspective, think about last quarter, how many sales, legitimate sales, that we knew about prior to the earnings report, okay? If any, a very small number, and less than we do now. In any case, I want to go over the actual consensus, the EPS estimate, everything's going on here, the dates, and also the actual numbers that Chartmill is projecting, and the growth year over year that we're going to be getting if we were to be getting close to this estimate, right? So starting off with a date, you're looking at August 4th next week. It's Wednesday next week, and we're going to be streaming that. I hope to see everybody there. Okay, now the consensus, you're looking at 3.5 million. To my understanding, is what it is. Earnings Whispers right now, they have 3.3 million. That, I don't think that is actually correct. What I do think is correct is this right here. This is according to Chartmill, 3.569. That's about right. Or at least that's closer to the consensus, I should say. Consensus revenue is going to be about 3.5 million. And here's another important point, right? This is, okay, make sure you note this when you hear somebody saying Bionano might miss revenue, right? We totally could. It's sure, if you want to call it gambling, you want to call it anyone's game, that's absolutely fine. Companies already said they're comfortable with the estimates. Do you think we're going to get a big miss after the company's already said we're comfortable with the estimates? No, very, very unlikely, especially if we consider how much data and evidence we have to suggest the precise opposite, which would be a huge kick-ass beat. And you know what the price would do if we got that. Okay, last time we beat revenue by about $200,000, actually $223,000, 7% difference, and we went up 22% and 100%, and 22% the next day and 100% in less than a month. Okay, so I am expecting if we get anything close to this, we're likely going to do something similar to that nature. And if we were to get a beat like this, like by 500,000, like if we were to get my base case projection, which is 4 million or 4.5 million, okay, I mean, I don't know how much we're going to go, but it's likely that we're going to go up more than we did last time, which was about 22% the next day. I mean, that was with a $200,000 revenue beat with very little other very significant, at least this is how I thought other people reacted to it. I reacted to it very much more positively than most other people. Most other people didn't find anything else super significant in the earnings call, the transcript, what they actually were talking about. This quarter, imagine if we were to get something like this, base case 4 million, or my bull case 4.5 million, and then they also say something about the nano development, or where they are with new kits, or Saphyr 2.0, or they bump up the timeline for something, or FDA approval, or the COI lab, or reimbursements, right? How are they going to get into the diagnostic realm without FDA approval? Are they going to do the POA codes and reimbursement thing that we think they are? We don't know, right? Imagine if they said something significant like that, how high we could go if we got all of those things, which are certainly realistic. I don't know the future, but I do know that if we were to get a beat of a few $100,000, we're likely, you're never going to see fives again, unless a market crash, unless something insane happens. If we get a beat bigger than this, I don't think we're going to see fours or fives again. That's my opinion. I could be way off, right? We'll see how this video ages, right? You're going to be able to see in a couple of days now. Talking a little bit more about the consumable revenue increase that's essentially going to happen perennially every single quarter, quarterly and annually, right? And the reason why, to extrapolate a little bit more on this synthesis here, basically you're looking at every single Saphyr that gets installed in whatever quarter, let's say quarter 2, for example. There's going to be a higher number of installations in that quarter than there was in the quarter previous to that. And because of that, some of those installations, a lot of them, probably all of them, if we're going to be installed in that quarter, are going to be doing some sort of genomes. They're going to be doing some sort of quantity of genomes being analyzed and purchasing a certain number of kits and contributing to the beautiful consumable revenue. And this is the beauty about Bionano's business model. This is only going to increase every single year. And this is one of the reasons why it's so safe and so auspicious, in my opinion, to hold this shit long term. You don't have to worry about the price going from 5 to 6 or 10 even, or 4. If you know that Saphyr, if you understand why the Saphyr is so good, and it's likely to actually understand, if you understand the Saphyr specs and understand why it's better than everything else in the world, you agree that these sales are, there's nothing that's going to stop the 63% CAGR from continuing for 10 years, or even longer than that, or even if it's going to be higher than that, right? This is what makes holding long-term so auspicious and conducive, in my opinion, if you're a shareholder of BNGO. The consumable revenue increase is essentially guaranteed to happen perpetually, right? Maybe perpetually is the wrong. The consumable revenue quarterly, though, it is essentially guaranteed, right? With this business model, it's as long as you're getting sales and installations, at least a couple installations every quarter, it's very likely that the consumable revenue is going to increase. We already know about 3 sales in this quarter. You can go, I'll link this in the pinned comment or something. You can go look at it and check out the links. But this is $1 million in revenue right here. Those are 3 sales that are confirmed right off the bat. That's more than we knew about prior to last earnings report, and that's already right out the gate. That makes, you know, if we were going to, and the whole reason why this second reason exists is because if we're going to get, imagine if we were to get exactly 11 more placements this quarter, which is unlikely. I think we're going to get more, I think we're going to get closer to 15. We'll see though. Imagine if instead of the majority of them being reagent rental program agreements, what if those could be, what if those were actual sales? You know what that would do to the revenue? It would make it, I mean, it would, we would go, it would be crazy, right? Imagine if instead of 8 reagents rental agreements, there was only 2 or 3 or even 5. The revenue is gonna go. I mean, it's gonna skyrocket. We're gonna blow the estimates out of the park. We're gonna go $10 a share, right? Or at least $7 a share, easily, in my opinion, right? That's just me. You make your own opinions, my friends. Now, what I'll say here is that since we already know about 3 of them right here, plus we know about the Wickham's and the WeHealth, which are also both sales. This one's actually, believe it or not, this one is actually multiple sales, most likely at different times. We don't know exactly what times because it's a strategic partnership. However, that's huge. That's likely multiple sales during this quarter. WeHealth, that's a sale as well, to my understanding. So we already know about 5. We already know about 5 of them. There was not 5 capital purchases, to my understanding, last quarter, for quarter 1. Right? We're now in quarter 3. I shouldn't say last quarter. Quarter 1, there was only probably a couple sales, if not only 1 sale. I think there's only 1 real sale or something like that. Okay, since we already know about 5 real sales prior to the actual earnings report, imagine how many there's likely to be for quarter 2. We don't even know about all of them. I guarantee you there's some Saphyr capital purchases that we don't know about here because the company doesn't release all their sales. And none of these actually were, only I think 1 or 2 of these, only a couple of these, if you include the Joe Butler tweets, were actually by Bionano or their staff. Most of these were because were from a third party or the party that's actually, you know, the clients that's saying, hey, we just installed the Saphyr, and then it's dated within quarter 2. That's how you know it's an installation and a likely sale. Okay, now talking about the revenue estimates, these are my revenue estimates. I haven't changed them really because there are a couple, and here's another point. This is maybe a third reason, an unofficial reason as well. If we go to Saphyr adoptions here, I haven't even checked all of these to see if there's more. There are actually probably more Saphyr sales, or at least there's more evidence to say there's more than 13 rental agreements / Saphyr sales, right? Some of them are rentals, some of them are sales, I'm sure. But there's evidence to say there's more than them. And I have not checked all of them. These are just a couple links of some of the Saphyr adoptions, the links that I think may have done them. Oh yeah, and also you got the CSHL rental agreements. That's a little bit speculative, but that's also another rental agreement, right? And rental agreements, remember, although they're not great for the revenue, like straight off the bat, remember, the more rental agreements we get now, not only is that huge consumable revenue, right? They have to make a commitment to use a ton of consumables essentially to actually sign off and get the Saphyr actually for the program. They also are likely to buy the Saphyr later on, right? Because they want to test. That's the whole idea, kind of this whole thing. Rent the Saphyr, see if you like it, buy it later if you do. Majority of the time, chances are a lot of them, or at least some of them, right? At least some of them are going to buy the damn Saphyr. We've already had rental agreements last quarter. Maybe this quarter, throughout the rest of the next year, and this year, the rest of this year, more sales come in, not only from new people, but from the rental agreement people. And that's huge. I'm sure you can imagine what that's going to do for the numbers. I recommend, if you're going to be one of those people that is trying to trade this or sell before or sell after or buy before or calls before, you know, something like that, or whatever you're doing, I really recommend you go read this whole thing or just watch the previous earnings videos, right? So I talk more about this, actually the revenue numbers, how I actually came out with these projections here, so you can understand what's going on, right? I'll link this in the pinned comment or somewhere, right? So you can actually go read all this, understand. And I have to say this, I could be wrong. It's hard to project earnings, even with all this evidence and all the due diligence that we've done, with everything that we've done. It's still very hard to put a number to a quarter prior to that quarter's announcement, right? It's very hard. The company doesn't announce all their sales for a reason. This is it, to make it impossible for people like me and you to try to piece together what's going on for the quarter's revenue. And this is my prediction. I'll say it right now. I think we're going to get, and here, let me go right here. I think we're going to get 3.7 to 4 million, somewhere in there. I think that's very likely. I can definitely see us getting 4.5 or 5. I can definitely see it being a huge blowout. I would not be surprised. I'm going to be honest, I would not be surprised. All right, I would not. We've got, hey, think if you think, Brandon, there's no way we're going to get $1 million in revenue beat, you're crazy. The analysts are not that stupid. Have you ever seen the amount of Saphyr adoptions prior to an earnings report for Bionano? Have you ever seen this many of them? This quantity, more than 10, 13. There's actually, remember, I already told you there's likely more than this. I haven't actually done all the digging. There's a couple new links here that I haven't actually checked out fully. I'm just trying to underpromise and overdeliver, right? I could easily go through this and probably find out another 1 or 2 that were dated Q2, new places that hadn't used the Saphyr yet to our knowledge, right? University of South Alabama, that's 1, and then the City of Hope Medical Center, if I remember the name correctly, that's 2. That's 2 extra ones that I know off the top of my head I could add in this list. That's 15. And the point is, if you didn't understand that, right, Ape Language, we already know about a huge number of Saphyr sales / rental agreements and/or, right, one of the 2. All of these are one of the 2 that happened in Q2. We know about more. That quantity is more. It's larger than any other quarter ever prior to the earnings report, of course, right? So I hope that makes sense. And a lot of people look at everybody else's predictions about 4 million. Everyone is saying in our Discord, of course, we're all bulls, right? We're all biased. That's fine, but everybody's projecting 4 million. I would not be surprised at all if we got that. And that's what I will leave you with. What are the chances? What are we going to do if we go up? If the revenue does go up to 4 million this quarter, or last quarter, I should say, for Q2. I think we're going to go up to $7 or $8 and even $10. It may be, right? Given last time that we beat by 200,000 and we went up 100% a month, largely because of that catalyst in the form of the earnings beat and the revenue beat, not so much the EPS beat, but we went up 100% in a month, and a lot of that was because of the earnings report. I think we can go up 20, 30%, even higher than that in a week, in a day, even on the day of earnings, Wednesday, if we were to get something good, right? Very good. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm bullish. I could be way off. We'll see. I hope to see everybody on the actual earnings live stream here. I hope everybody sets a reminder. It's going to be nerve-wracking. It's going to be very exciting, though. So talking about the other stuff that we have this week besides earnings, right? Which is, earnings is literally overshadowing everything, which understandably so, right? But the Medicare meeting, the CMS public meeting, this was for the reimbursements for Saphyr, Medicare covering Saphyr. So essentially, to my understanding, I could be wrong on this. I just found this out not too long ago. This is actually going to take about a week or maybe even more than that to actually get the data and get the results in from this to see if Bionano, see what actually happened here. So this is going to be happening around the time of actually earnings, right? Coinciding perfectly with the Cancer Genomics Consortium end, which is August 4th. Which you may have noticed already, August 4th, holy crap, that's the CGC thing ending, the CMS thing ending, and earnings happening. Holy shit, that's a lot of things happening at once. Did they plan this? I don't know. Also, you got Paramit. This is our manufacturing. This is like our original engineering manufacturer here. This is kind of weird. Okay, now that term is kind of ambiguous, so be careful with what you take from that. Basically, these guys, they basically manufacture a part of the Saphyr for us, a part of it, of course, not the whole thing, but they help us manufacture the Saphyrs essentially. And they just got bought out. They just got acquired by these guys, it looks like. And I'm not really going to say whether this is good or bad because I don't really have a strong opinion on this, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't really see a reason why this should even affect us that much. You tell me in the comments if you think this is big for any reason, right? I'm totally open to hearing your guys' opinions on that. Now, talking about the institutional ownership, I think this is actually pretty cool. The ownership accumulation score, not really, yeah, it's at 95, 275th out of 36,000. That sounds great. To be honest with you guys, you can be very careful with the institutional ownership and all the insider ownership, but more so the institutional ownership because it's even more delayed. These institutions have they have 45 days after the quarter ends that the transaction happened in to file their 13F, right? They have forever. They can file their stuff so late, and most of these filings, they'll be months old. However, there's a clear trend, right? People are buying. Institutions are buying and holding. They're taking the retail shares on the way down, and they're holding. Look at the average share price here, $6, $7, right? I mean, $8, $10. These people are holding. Okay, that's not a good that's not a good example because they only have 100 shares, right? But you get the point, and the point is very true, right? Look, where's that one? There's one institution here. Let me do this. There's one institution that owns 3 million shares. It's right here. These guys, Invest Code DWA Healthcare Momentum ETF. Everybody likes to point out Renaissance. They own 9 million. They're so bullish. They're not that bullish. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. Look at their portfolio allocation. Like I mean, this barely, even if Bionano were to go up 500%, that's barely going to affect their portfolio, man, relatively speaking. If you look at these guys, however, they are the fifth, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, sixth highest. They have the sixth highest shares out of all the institutions in the whole world for Bionano. They own the sixth highest amount of shares that we know of course, and their portfolio allocation is 4%. That is huge. That's very rare that you see an ETF or any institutional investor in any sort of organization having a 4% portfolio allocation in a company that is worth $5 a share, less than $2 billion market cap. That is as conventionally defined as a speculative play, right? That makes you very confident that these guys are holding with a 4% portfolio allocation. That makes you think these guys have talked to the company and have inside information, right? Maybe, honestly, these guys are putting a lot on the line for their portfolio and their reputation as a momentum ETF. We are now in August, which is the second worst performing month on average for the S&P 500, and we're heading into the worst month for the S&P performance since 1980, and that's the average, of course. This could be the outlier year. This could be an exception. I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. And at the end of the day, long term, if these numbers are accurate, it doesn't really matter if you're down 50% or 80% or 10%, or if you're up right now, because long term, you would wish that you had as many shares as you could and added when we were at 10, 8, 5, 4, everything. You will wish you made this all your portfolio like I am, in my opinion, if these numbers are accurate and if the company does what they say they're going to do. And if these numbers are, I mean, 10 years from now, even if we get a 50% CHR, we're still going to be valued at $50 or $100 a share easily. And think about the percentage returns and how much money you're going to make if you have a couple thousand shares or tens of thousands, right? Of course, I could be wrong, or there's risk. Make your own decision. Please do your own research. But with that being said, I'm going to leave you with that. And then we also have a couple new trademarks. This is the last thing. A couple new trademarks for Bionano. I'm not really, I don't really think I'm going to go over these just because they're not that big. It's just trademarks, right? It's like whatever. But yeah, they did file a couple new trademarks very recently, a couple days ago. So that is good to see. And also look at this, Cyan Barnett. Cyan Barnett is able to talk to other YouTubers, just not me. Yeah, he told me on Twitter he would talk to me. He can't. He said he can't talk about specific stocks, and it looks like he just blatantly did the. broke that rule, and this is pretty much hypocrisy exemplified, I guess you could say, which is totally fine. I respect the guy. I wish he would come talk to me. I asked him to. He said no. He said he can't, and now he does it with someone else. That's, whatever, it's his decision. Whatever. He doesn't like the look on my big ass forehead, I'm sure. But with that being said, man, here's the portfolio, 100% BNGO. We're going to talk more about the earnings expectations. What do I think the possibilities and the actual percentage chances of us beating or missing, and how high we're going to go up because of that. We're going to talk more about that on this stream right here. I hope everybody's going to be there. It's going to be an insane day. It's Wednesday. I can't believe it's here. It's Wednesday. That's what it's going to be. Please set your reminder for the live Q2 earnings. It's going to be amazing. Thank you all so much. It's not finished, guys. I will see you all in the next one.